Community Support Services. It was a wonderful opportunity for me to grow up in a community, in a neighborhood, in a nice, well-established area that gave me quality and dignity of life, and being able to live in an area where I was able to walk downtown Mystic and just, I found it to be very beneficial. At that time, the group home was at a different phase where we were seeing a lot of children like myself that were having trouble finding placement. Children that were adoptable but not being adopted. So I say this because this agency provides so much more now today than it did in '94 through '98 when I had the chance to live there. I still remember the directors, Bob and Jim. They were always a kind face that came along. If you were getting your wisdom teeth pulled, they'd bring you a milkshake or pop in and ask, what the heck do you need? And I'd say, I want this, and they would make it happen. So it's really important to have community-rooted services like this because it allows for youth in our community to have access to good quality education and the opportunity to be present in a community where they're welcomed and able to be accepted. I attended Fitch High School, graduated in '98, and there were days where, I didn't feel like my other peers because when I came home to a building, a home with a bunch of other girls that had a lot of different backgrounds than I did. Some didn't want to be there, I loved it, and it gave me a chance to grow and become who I am. Today I work in the medical field. I have, I said, 2 children. One just graduated from high school who will join the Navy shortly. I have a sophomore at Fitch who's really big into marching bands. My husband is a teacher in the correctional facility and is a firm believer in education. And I serve as a town council and elected in the town of Groton, in the community which, at that time, who knew where I'd go, what direction I would take. But because of the services provided in this community that was wrapped around me and allowed me to be who I wanted to become, the loud, outspoken person that I am, I then, now serve on the Groton Town Council. I also did come back to the group home in a capacity where I was able to be a relief staff. And I was working with the youth in the building. And again, the direction, the patterns had changed. But one thing that remained the same was the buildings. At the time, we had High Street and Main Street House. I could hear the floors. I knew exactly where all the girls were. And they used to say to me, how do you know what we're doing and where we are? And I always wanted to share with them, I lived here. But I never really wanted to because I didn't want to change their experience and make sure that they knew that I was there for the right reasons, and did never really explain that. Later I had the opportunity, and one of my passions was to, amongst all my busyness, is to come back and be a board member for this agency. And I currently now serve as a board member, active board member for the Knowing Community Support Services. Not as active as I'd like to. I just joined maybe about 6 months ago. And I hope to grow this establishment and just make it as wonderful as I remember it. And I think it's really important to bring back folks that have had wonderful experiences that can really tell the story of where the money and the hard work really goes. And I stand here before you as that, and I encourage you guys to continue to be involved, to look at ways to support nonprofit agencies in our community, and advocate for youth to grow in our communities. And I'm really honored to be here. I apologize as I race from work to stand here before you, but here I am, and I thank you guys for all that you do. And